The grass comes out really easy.
Yeah, but you put them right over here. This doesn't. Whatever this
We've come here every year from Crystal Springs and we love it, but could you tell us a little more, and also for the benefit of China, what Actera is and what you're doing in the preserve?
Yes. Actera is a non-profit environmental organization located in Palo Alto, and we are contracted with the City of Palo Alto to do stewardship work on the Arrastradero Preserve where we are today.
What do you mean stewardship?
Stewardship work, being a steward, is protecting something. So if you are land stewardship, you are protecting the land. And specifically, we engage volunteers and community youth organizations and different groups on doing habitat restoration on the preserve. We are taking an area like this that is all invasive non-native weeds. We're weeding it. We're putting in native plants. And if you look over here...
Well, I can see it looks kind of scruffy.
Yes.
It looks like the area next to a parking lot.
Right, right.
So this isn't what the wilderness originally looked like.
No. Originally, we had a oak woodland and grassland habitat with riparian plants. Riparian plants are plants that live near water. Over the last 200 years, the land has been disturbed. We've had invasive weeds come in from different countries. This takes away space for native plants. Weeds take up moisture and nutrients, and they outcompete native plants. What we're trying to do is remove them, put back the native plants.
By contrast.
Okay, so by contrast, now we're looking at native plants. Specifically, this is the California coast live oak. This is one of the most important trees in California. In its lifetime, it can support over 100 different species just on one tree.
Really? 100?
100 different species, other plants, insects, amphibians, reptiles, bird species. The acorn woodpecker, which is a woodpecker, can only survive with these oak trees. They used old dead oak trees to nest in, and they used the acorns from the living oak trees for their food. Their whole entire life is adapted to this tree. Here are some other native plants. What we have here in the back is coyote bush. It's a very important plant for all wildlife. And then above it, we've got a deciduous oak. It's called a valley oak. We have 4 types of oaks on the preserve. That's one of them, the tallest one you can see in the background with the nice green shiny leaves. Right below that is more coast live oak. We have a walnut here. There is a California black walnut, and this is also a native tree. This provides food for people and animals.
So the monarch butterflies, their migration pathway covers thousands of miles between Mexico and California. And in order for those butterflies to make that distance, they need to be able to stop every 20 miles or so to be able to get food and rest. And so we're providing one of these waystations for the butterflies here. And there's other people all through California that are doing the same thing, and also people in Mexico are working on preserving that
the Monarch
habitat.
Waystation, and each little flag represents a native plant. Several of them are the slender milkweed, and some of them are other plants that other kinds of pollinators rely on. So we're looking for biodiversity in our habitat restoration. The kids are removing the non-native plants that don't provide any habitat value for the native wildlife here,
And we're replacing them with some plants that have habitat value. This one is the slender milkweed. Butterflies are pollinators, and pollinators are very important because they help the plants to form the seed, which will be the next generation. They also can do a lot of pollinating of our crops. So the food that we rely on to eat is pollinated in some cases by our native pollinators, and that's bees, butterflies, hummingbirds, moths, even bats in some places. And this plant, the slender milkweed, is one of the few plants that the monarch butterfly that goes from country to country. It migrates long distances. So it's very important that we work with other countries to provide the habitat for the butterflies. So they will come here and they look for way stations where they can rest in trees, and we have plenty of trees in the area for that purpose. And then they look for their food plant to lay their eggs, because it's the next generation of monarchs that need the milkweed to eat as they hatch out in little caterpillars. So this will provide a food plant for the next generation of monarch butterflies.
So the Actera Stewardship Program has 3 staff members, and we have 622 acres to manage out here for the city of Palo Alto. So we depend on our volunteers to help us do that work. And today, the students from Crystal Springs High School, their volunteer work is worth thousands of dollars just in the last 2 hours. We are funded by a lot of different foundations and organizations in the city of Palo Alto, but the city of Palo Alto only provides enough money for maybe 1 part-time to full-time employee. So this is how we get our work done, and I just want to thank all of the students at Crystal Springs High School and say hello to our new partners in China. Thank you very much from Actera.